Welcome to Everything CPA and Private Equity, where we unpack the evolving relationship between accounting firms, private equity, and other strategics. I'm David Wolfskehl, a partner at Whitman Transition Advisors.
And I'm Phil Whitman, CEO of Whitman Transition Advisors. And we've chatted with more than 150 private equity groups. We've actually closed over 40 transactions with those private equity groups. And we're bringing you firsthand insights from the front lines.
And whether you're exploring your first deal, putting your toe in the water, refining your strategy, we're here to guide you with real stories, expert advice, actionable takeaways. Let's dive in. Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Everything CPA and Private Equity, where we offer insights, ideas, and education to help you, the leaders, make good decisions for the future of you and your firms. And because we are really leader-focused, we always like to start with a quote. And today, before you are a leader, success is all about growing yourself. And again, if people don't see something special about you, you don't become a leader. But when you become a leader, success is all about growing others. And I truly believe as a leader, we are multipliers and you should be focused on growing your team. And that's from Jack Welch. Today, we're filming this Monday morning. And today, everything in the news is about tariffs, the economy, tariffs and the economy and the stock market. And so, although we know that accounting work at this point doesn't have tariffs, I think tariffs has the potential, and we don't know yet, but has the potential to have a big impact on what's going on in the CPA world. So, Phil, welcome and good morning to you.
Thanks, David. And what a great idea to talk about the tariffs. It's a dinner table conversation almost every evening with my family. How is it going to affect us? And while I typically have the mindset of, hey, it's going to be what it's going to be. However, I know what I need to focus on personally as it relates to my business. Now, the question I would ask is, do our CPA brethren, have they taken a look and seen how it might affect their business? And I think anytime you have economic uncertainty, it can either be, a big opportunity for CPA firms, or, the psychology of the mind is, I'm sure for some, and maybe in this case, many, they're going to be concerned about what are those negative effects going to be, especially related to their clients and businesses that their clients are in.
And, it's been a long time since we had an economic, I guess a little bit during COVID, although there were so many tailwinds in the CPA marketplace with new audits and CARES Act and new things that they weren't really impacted. But this time, if the economy goes bad and we have a recession, and again, neither one of us are economists, so we don't know if we will or we won't. But if we did, it's going to impact some of those firms. Is that a fair statement, Phil?
Absolutely. And I do want to say, David, that I did graduate with a degree in economics, but obviously, I went on the accounting route in the CPA firm industry. But in any event, you're absolutely right. I think, CPAs have been very, very fortunate in every crisis. They figured out a way to, further monetize. I mean, the COVID years were some of the very best revenue years CPA firms had with, PPEs and helping clients with EIDLs. And then, after that, there came the much under scrutiny employee retention tax credits. And we know that there was a bunch of fraud around that, but I think that's still being looked into. In any event, the way I see it, I mean, this could be a great opportunity for firms that aren't focused in the international arena to, sort of take a look, how might I be able to, start a international tax consulting practice around what's going on with these tariffs. Certainly I believe that, there'll be some firms are going to see some real challenges with their clients, but.
And let's talk about that, right? So I think some companies, assuming this stays and all this, right, are going to be severely impacted. So if I've made a scraped EBITDA commitment, right, and my clients are struggling, and perhaps I'm not growing as quickly anymore, or I'm starting to get fee pressure, tell me the connection between scraped EBITDA, and that's a commitment to overall profitability and how that can squeeze.
Again, David, an excellent point. I believe all CPA firms that have clients that, whether they're in the import export business or, they're seeking parts for whatever they manufacture from overseas. I mean, they might end up seeing some, it could be a combination of things, revenue softness, inability to, on the advisory side, embark upon projects that they normally would have their CPA firms with certain specialties helping them with. So I think the CPA firm could see some revenue softness, which obviously is going to impact profitability and the potential for scrape. But I do believe, well, this is definitely something real. Um, and psychology of, whether it's the buyer, the seller, the client, the CPA firm, I think all of that comes into play. I believe the smart entrepreneurial CPA is likely going to figure out a way how to turn, lemons into lemonade.
If you've made a scrape EBITDA commitment, that commitment comes first.
Absolutely. And I think, not only CPA firms that have already made that commitment, but those that are going down the road at the very moment. I think depending what other things private equity groups are involved with, it could affect, their appetite in the industry. It could affect valuation, certainly, depending upon, what the capital markets do and interest rates, what we're looking at. I mean, it most certainly can affect valuations going forward. I think everyone needs to keep their eye on the ball and, not be that ostrich that puts your head in the sand and think it's not going to hit home.
And so let's flip and talk a little bit about the buyers, right? The private equity. We know that it's much more than private equity. It could be family office, it could be wealth management. But if we look at the buyers, right, some of these buyers are very large buyers with diverse portfolio of different companies, right? If some of their sectors are struggling, all of a sudden leadership attention could be about helping those other firms rather than growing into a new market, right? I mean, I think leadership has only so much bandwidth, and if there's crises in other places, they're going to go protect their investments. Right. I mean,
Yeah,
what's your thoughts about that?
well, I don't think that, it necessarily would be a bad thing. As of today, our team, we've met with over 200 private equity groups. I mean, we have seen a little bit of an uptick since we saw Blackstone make that investment in Citron Cooperman. We're back to the meeting with 3 to 4 new private equity groups every week. And as you said, it's not just private equity, family offices, pension funds, I mean, bank holding companies. I mean, the list just keeps on and on. And actually, most recently, we started conversations and are working with a company that's based on a international stock exchange. So let's call it a CBIZ from abroad. But in any event,
Like,
the opportunities are I think the private equity groups, look, they're very opportunistic. I think it might be a good thing if there were some groups that said, you know what, we're not in it. We were thinking about getting in it, but we really need to focus on, doing some work in some of the other areas. We're not generating the profitability that we thought we would have, the additional capital. The cost of capital might become more expensive. I mean, I don't know.
actually, I heard the Fed might be lowering funds
Yeah.
this year. It might become cheaper, right?
What's amazing, well, that's what I heard also. I mean, so while pricing is going to go up on most things, valuations could go down. I mean, I think there remains so much to be seen. Now, I wouldn't overthink it. I mean, obviously, my mindset is full steam ahead. Let's keep having the conversations. We need to do our job educating firms. But, it'll be very interesting as we bring on, and I do believe we have one of our significant private equity / family office groups that we're going to be recording a session later today. And it'd be great to get a bird's eye view from their opinion, how they think tariffs might affect their involvement in acquiring interests and investing in CPA firms. So be sure to stay tuned for that episode, which will probably be coming out perhaps as a special edition much more quickly than we normally would put it out.
And so I think, Phil, let's, as we wrap this up, to me, I think you said there's going to be winners and there's losers, right? For every economic situation, a builder, if there's a flood, a builder gets to rebuild. So I think for me, the advice I would give to both buyers and sellers is to run your business really, really well, to be flexible and be thinking about plan B and how you can pivot if necessary. And like you said, full force ahead, right? Be aggressive.
Yeah. And the one last thing, and it just sort of struck me that I think private equity needs to be concerned about. When you look at what happened in the stock market this past week, and I know, in the extended trading, the trading began last night at 8 p.m. and the markets were down again. I don't know how it ended up closing that session, but, let's keep an eye on what happens in the markets, because we've seen this before, where if the market loses considerable value, you may have CPA firm owners that are saying, I'm going to delay my exit. My assets, my portfolio went way down, and, they may decide that they need to work a couple more years. The supply is already, there's way more demand by private equity than I believe there's supply in certain areas of the marketplace. Obviously the big ones that are looking for top 100 firms, it's kind of been picked through every once in a while. Someone changed their mind, sees that they don't have actual a deal flow because they can't compete. But in that lower end of the market, I do believe because of the sheer volume, there's many, many more CPA firms. But I know just from chatting with some of the folks I spoke with over the weekend, they're concerned. Do I have to work a couple more years? Am I going to retire? Or perhaps private equity is the white knight that comes riding in and they don't have to worry about what the stock market's doing.
So, as this is a special tariff, we all know the stock market is going nuts in a negative way. We don't know what the story is. And so I think for both of us, it's run your business, be flexible, continue to take meetings and to explore things, and so that you can be aggressive about making sure that your firm is in great shape. Phil, any final comments?
I think many of your clients that are being impacted by these tariffs, this is an opportunity for you to reach out to them, set up another meeting. It could be a revenue generating meeting, but at the very least, it's going to show them that you care about them and you're thinking about them. And, meetings create opportunities. So don't let this opportunity pass you by.
Don't put your head in the sand. Take action. Be calm. Make things happen. So if you like what we're talking about and PE and CPAs are important to you, like, subscribe. We've been getting some questions. So, next week we'll be answering some of those questions online. We appreciate you watching us. And again, focus on you, take the actions that you can, make things happen, and have a great day.
Thank you, everyone. And David, everyone's just go out and crush it.
Thank you for tuning into Everything CPA and Private Equity. Every episode brings fresh insight. However, there's always more to talk about. Don't miss an episode. Subscribe wherever you watch podcasts. Have a question or topic you'd like us to cover? We'd love for you to reach out to us. Together, we will help you navigate this dynamic landscape so that we can help you achieve your goals. Until next time, keep making moves that matter. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode.